All right. Welcome to the other side of the coin, everyone. Thank you for everyone who's subscribed so far and all the support that I've been getting recently. It's been massive. Thank you heaps. I will have a surprise for you guys down the track. I feel like I need to give something to my followers. I have a special episode lined up today. I've got my boy Matisse. I'm so excited. Every time I have him, I get goosebumps, man. I get goosebumps, and I've got my jersey on specially for this guy.
Lovely.
First of all, Matisse, how are you, my man? How you doing?
Man, it is brilliant to be on, honestly. And I'm so happy because now you've got your own YouTube channel. So I feel like this is something that you can just make so personal for yourself. I'm sorry I don't have the Chelsea top on because I just come out of work, people. So I'm kind of slacking in that regard. I should have a top on. I should have got one of my historic ones on, but yours is brilliant. I mean, what year is that from? Because I'm not even sure. It's so.
I think that's 1974.
Yeah, it's really classic. Like, I like it a lot.
It's nice. A classic one. I love it, man. You're definitely excused for not having a jersey on. I understand you've had a late shift. It's early in the morning. You're taking your time. That's more than enough for me. So without further ado, let's start this episode. There's so much, all our followers probably want to hear from you. We all know in football Twitter, it's 240 or 50 characters, I don't know, per tweet. It's sometimes just not enough to understand once a person's mindset, I suppose, in regards to the team and whatnot. So we're going to use this episode for our followers, your followers, my followers, to understand your thoughts in regards to everything Chelsea at the moment. So we're going to go through the starting lineup. So whatever is your strongest starting lineup that you think. We're going to go through the formations that we've been using so far under Frank and what you think about that and how you think it may evolve down the track. We're going to touch on some players that has impressed you, some that haven't, areas that sort of concerns you as well. We're going to talk about Frank as a manager, get your perspective, what you think about him. And we're going to finish off with what you think we're going to, how we're going to do as a team for the upcoming season. Yeah. We'll finish off in that manner. So how do you feel about that? You ready to rock and roll?
Perfect. I love that. I love the sound of that. Brilliant.
Cool. All right. So first up, the starting lineups. Obviously, we've had 3 preseason games so far. I know we don't want to get too far ahead. I know these are still preseason games, but nonetheless, it gives us an idea of where things are at. You would have seen different lineups in the first half, different lineups in the second half. In your perspective, I suppose, in detail, what you feel is our best starting lineup in terms of the personnels that we have?
Well, one thing that's been really important for me to look at is we have a lot of injuries. It's unfortunate because I feel like, especially in the wing position, we could have done with those players being fit. So Lampard could see what the likes of Willian looked like. Obviously, he was at the Copa America, and then he got a slight injury there. Hudson-Odoi as well. It would have been good to see how him and Pulisic swap wings and that experiment there. So we've had to use Kennedy a lot, which is, for me, I don't really think he's good enough. He was at Newcastle last year. He wasn't really impressing. And despite the transfer ban, I don't want to drop our standards so low in a panic for that left-footed, that winger that can cut in and score goals, which everyone is craving since Iron Robben. Because for me, he's just not good enough. So I prefer Casillo, who we didn't even get to see really too much since he signed his new contract. But as a 5th choice winger, I feel like him being a youngster can learn a lot more in that backup position. So in terms of a strongest team, it's kind of based on the injuries right now. I want to keep it, current. I don't want to go on a team that's not fully fit because, we don't know when they're going to come back from injury. I think Old Trafford is in a couple of weeks' time. So right now, especially in our midfield, I'm looking at it and there's, I do prefer the 4-3-3 formation, but I don't want to get bogged down in one particular formation or set way of setting up because I am adaptable to styles. I haven't, become obsessed, even though I love the football we played last season under Sarri. I haven't become obsessed with that that's the only way we can play. I'm very adaptable as long as I can see signs that, we're still trying to play attacking football. That's the main thing for me. And Lampard has shown in, the last game against Barcelona that we're trying to press. That's why Tammy Abraham is looking like he could actually contend with the other strikers, despite maybe not displaying the quality in other areas that, you know, the likes of Giroud give you. So right now, I think a double pivot suits us well. And that's crazy coming from me, because that was a formation that I was not interested in a couple of weeks ago. But now that I've seen it in a press, it looks a lot better than it did under Jose Mourinho when it was in a low block counter-attacking style. So, and again, the midfielders, if you look at the likes of Barkley, he's definitely a number 10. I don't even want to see him in a 3 again. So, you know, he's not press resistant. He's not comfortable there. He seems very restricted and shackled up there. He's much better in a number 10. I don't know if he's good enough, but it's better. Mason Mount, I feel like he can play there as well. You know, I feel like he can do both. Kovacic for me can do both, very versatile. Jorginho was a surprise. It looks like he can play both as well, even though I still think he's going to be better in the Regista role. But, you know, time will tell. The only issue is Loftus-Cheek when he's injured. That's what I'm saying. So right now I'd go with a double pivot just because that seems to be the favourite formation, and I'd probably go with Kepa in goal. I'd go Azpilicueta at right back because James is injured. I'd go Emerson at left back. Very smooth in transition. Just a clean footballer. He's not great defensively. He's not great going forward, but he's just clean. Centre back, I'd probably go Luiz and Zuma, because I feel like everybody's got bogged down in this whole, we need to play possession football. And I do want to play that. But we saw last season our defence was not exactly the best. So for me to go in again with the same centre back partnership doesn't really make any sense. Zuma's coming back for a reason. You know, he's going to bring different qualities to the defense that we lacked last season, clearly. So I bring him back. We're going to press, so a high line is necessary. Zuma's faster than everybody. So, and then double pivot. Kante's got a knock right now. So I don't want to rush him back, because the more injuries we collect, the more I start to sweat and cry in my sleep.
I feel like that's a tough one. That's the toughest call right there.
Exactly. And Kovacic and Jorginho look good in a double pivot. They look good. So, you know, keep it like that. That's not a problem for me. Number 10, right now, I'd give it to Mason Mount just because he's been very impressive and he's more energetic than Barkley. Yes, Barkley's been good at pressing, but Mount has been amazing at pressing. And again, it's about freshening up the team slightly, bringing in a couple new faces. Right wing, I'd go Willian. I'd say Willian will be fit by Old Trafford, but I'm going to go with the basis that he's not, because anything can happen. I'd probably go, there's no options really, Pedro on the right, and then Pulisic on the left. And then I'd probably, at this point in time, go with Batshuayi up front. But Abraham is playing himself into contention after the Barcelona game, because forget the miss, his pressing was really damn good. And I mean really good. Like the work rate in that heat in Japan, incredible.
You know what? I honestly appreciate that so much, because I know you're not a massive fan of Tammy Abraham, but you are starting to see a different, you know, side of him, the different qualities that he's bringing, and you're willing to appreciate that. You know what? Yes, I might have had a vision, I might have had some thoughts about him, but the guy's improving, so I can change my thoughts around that. You know, everything that you've just touched, I'd probably in the same boat as you as well. For me, just like you, the positions that are in contention for me are obviously Luiz. For me is an automatic start. I feel like Frank loves Luiz, so he's going to start. Zuma, you know me. You've seen my tweets. I've seen your tweets. We've both rated Zuma, but I feel like the 3 preseason games he's played, he's been a bit lackluster. Christiansen on the other side has improved every single game, and he's looked better and better. And I feel he complements Luiz's erratic behavior, I suppose. You know, Luiz, as we all know, fantastic ball player, fantastic defender as well at times, but has those moments. And I feel like Christiansen is the guy that saves him in those moments and allows him to be who he is. But I do want to see Zuma get better, because we all know he is probably the better defender. In terms of Barkley and Mount, just like you, wanted to see a lot more of Mount. I love the kid's energy, love his vibe. I think a lot of us, probably not you, myself probably underestimated him last season when we all know Alex Goldberg, the bad boy Alex Goldberg, is always back in the youth. But, you know, this is one guy probably, you know, he's been backing him, and lot of people probably didn't appreciate him. But now I'm starting to see the fruits of this player. And, we've got another guy in Twitter, I think Vince, Blue_Footy. He didn't probably think too much about Mount as well, but he's all about Mount at the moment.
Great.
And I want to see more of Mount, but at the same time, Barkley, 2 back-to-back really good, strong performances. And as you said, he's so much free in that number 10 role. And that's probably his position as well. So these are probably, just like you, are my thoughts as well. Some really nice problems to have for Frank. But whatever he takes, I'm pretty sure whoever comes in will fight nonetheless. So let's move on to the next part, which you've kind of touched anyway, but let's elaborate on that a little bit. Formations. Now, you said you wanted to see a little bit more of 4-3-3 because obviously that's what we played last year. It only makes sense to build on that. But, we've seen the 4-2-3-1 and also the 4-4-2 diamond. And it feels like Frank doesn't really seem to favor the 4-3-3 so much. What's your sort of thoughts in regards to the formations and the styles that each of these different formations bring to us?
Yeah, well, the thing is now is one thing I've come to learn recently is that the formation is secondary to the style. And what I mean by that is that if we are going to press, that is the main aim, not really the formation we do it in. Obviously, each formation gives its different, aspects to the game, and it gives you the different dynamics going forward and defending as well. But if we're going to press, I'm going to be happy. That's my key here, because Lampard last season pressed. So for me, I want to judge Lampard on what he's most comfortable at. Same with Sarri last season. His thing was positional play. So I wanted to see positional play so I could judge him on what he is best at coaching. So if Lampard is going to press, I don't really mind too much the formation as long as we press. Now, if we have players, and this is my one thing with Batshuayi in comparison to Abraham, if we're going to press, players need to press. Like, they need to follow instruction, because pressing is not something you can do half-heartedly. It's not something that one person can do and the other person can be like, I can't be asked today. No, if you're going to press, you will damn well press or you get off the pitch. So that's the main thing I'm looking at. But in terms of formation, my favorite formation is 4-3-3. And that's not even just because of just last season. It's because with our strongest team out on the pitch, for me, that gets the best out of the players that are available when everybody's fit. So take into account Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I don't see him as a 10. I don't see him as a double pivot, because in a 4-3-3, he can drop deep. He can be press resistant. He can pick up the ball once Jorginho has attracted players into him, and then he can break into the space. Same with Kante, breaking into the space. So even though Kante is fantastic in the double pivot, arguably better, but Loftus-Cheek, for me, he's one of our most dangerous players. He's so unpredictable. He's not, something that you see in the league very often. He's very rare. So I think it's key to get the best out of a player like him. And then also when you look at, other factors like our wingers, Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi, I think they're going to be really energetic this season. So I don't necessarily feel like they need a 10 to contribute. I don't feel like they need a 10 to take that space, because if they're going to come inside, then it's going to get, some people are going to start overlapping and taking up each other's spaces. And right now, I don't see Mount or Barkley as a 10 that can move out wide and interchange with the wingers. So that's another concern that I have, because I feel like, for instance, if you have Hudson-Odoi cutting on the left, either we're going to have an overlap for Emerson, whose crossing is okay, or, someone's going to have to vacate that space so it doesn't get too congested. So I don't know how Mount is or Barkley is moving out there and swapping, with Hudson-Odoi and whatnot. But these are just minor issues. For me, so far, obviously, he's only used the two, mainly in the two halves that we've played. I really did like, I watched it live because I was at the stadium. I really did like the 4-4-2 diamond. I did like it. And the only reason I have a problem with it is because right now, again, James is not fit. So Azpilicueta is not bombing right back forward. He's not going to get up and down. He's not young enough. He hasn't got the energy. We've seen it last season, and he doesn't have the quality in the final third. So when you play the diamond, you rely so much on your fullbacks to get forward and give width that we're going to struggle so badly there. But at the same time, it gets all of the midfielders in, because that's somewhere where we're so overloaded and we have so much quality. So that's why I did like it. We dominated the midfield, even though it was against trialists. So I won't take it into account too much, because I'm pretty sure, literally, I'm pretty sure some of those players probably from my school. Like, I'm not gonna hype them up too much. But you know, I expected Chelsea first teamers to dominate. But it was good to see them in midfield rotating around and, you know, taking advantage of the space. So it was a nice formation, but until James is fit, I'll probably hold off on that one. And then 4-2-3-1, the reason why I'd go with it at Old Trafford is because of the injuries, and then also because we're away from home. And away from home, that double pivot, it's much easier to protect. We've seen it under Mourinho when he used Matic and Kante there, or Fabregas and Matic. It's so much easier to protect the back four when there's two and not one. And I don't want to go to Old Trafford in a defensive mindset, because I feel like we should move away from that after last season. However, we have to respect the opposition, and they are dangerous, especially at home. So I'd want to, you know, do a bit of both in terms of how we're going to approach that game, because the last thing I want to see now is we get thumped 3-0 because we just pushed everyone forward and then it's Lampard out from their get-go. So just try and solidify a point, or, you know, on the table before we get going. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts right now, the double pivot, because it was so good against Barca.
Yeah, no, I think similarly, the way I look at it is, you know, for Frank, I think his key ingredients is, as you said, press. That seems to be his, you know, his mantra, I suppose. He wants to press. He's not too focused about position, but then again, we've seen a lot of build-up play against Barcelona, where the fundamentals of last year still carried on, where they built, you know, the ball was being nicely built up from the back. Even during pressure times, we looked for nice little quick passes. In possession, what I have seen is not too many, you know, it's not a patient build-up. It's more go, quick pass through the middle. Let's get it straight to our attacking players and create chaos up front. And the whole fundamentals of Frank's play for me at the moment seems like without the ball is the effort that you put in. And that's where I feel 4-3-3 for him without Ruben Loftus-Cheek is, I think, too difficult for him, because Ruben allows that up and down sort of, you know, variance, which I don't think Kovacic will do that. But in a pivot, you know, Kovacic and Jorginho doesn't have to go too far up. And we've seen against Barca when we have pressed in certain times where Barca did manage to pass their way out of it. And before you know it, it was like 4 Barca against 3 of our defenders. And with the pivot, what the best part about that was Jorginho and Kovacic could track back quickly and support the centre-backs when centre-backs go wide to protect the areas when Alonso and Azpilicueta were, you know, caught up front with the transition, basically. So that's where I feel he's inclining on the 4-2-3-1, where I wouldn't call it he's going with a defensive mindset. It's more the fact that I want to be assured that I'm not caught out in counterattack when I'm pressing. Yeah. If I'm pressing high and the opposition is good enough to beat my pressing, I want to make sure that I have a, you know, fallback scenario to save that situation. Yeah. And that's what I really like about that 4-2-3-1, because it suits our characteristics. And with the 4-4-2 diamond, I feel like that's his plan B. If for instance, you know, we play against, I don't know, Norwich or whatever, a lesser team, I feel like he's going to start off with a 4-4-2 diamond where he's going to have the 2 strikers. You know, opposition's going to hold back, low defense, and he's going to try and, you know, score a goal, push as hard as he can. And that's his plan B, I feel like. So that's where I'm at in terms of formation. The
issue I have with, and it's funny because I liked it so much when we were watching it live, but the issue I have with that diamond is that our strikers don't have much experience linking up. You look at the other strike forces maybe in the league, you look at Aubameyang and Lacazette are probably the best example. They have so much chemistry. And I look at our strikers and they're all disjointed. because, you know, they're not used to playing with each other. They're coming back from recalls and whatnot. Giroud has always been a lone striker for France, for Arsenal, for us. He's much better at building up the play, you know, holding the ball up on his own and bringing in wingers into the discussion. Then you have Tammy Abraham, who for me isn't really a link-up striker. You know, he's a lone striker. He's going to press. He's going to be in the box, which is critical. This is another plus for him, which is crazy because, again, I still have my doubts, but the fact that he has these pluses is brilliant because he's going to bring something to the table. Thank God. He's always going to be in the box because, goddamn, how many times the last season did we see how much build-up? And then we put the ball into the box and there's nobody there. Yeah, and I'm looking at everyone. I'm like, what? Why is Higuain outside the box? Why is Morata outside the box? Why is everybody outside the box? The only person in the box was Kante. So that's one plus. Again, Abraham's going to be in the box. But the thing is with the two strikers is that, again, we need width. And a lot of people have suggested this, and I have liked the idea, is that either Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi, when they're fit, if we're going to play that way, one of them two could be part of the two. Because, one, they have great link-up. They're going to press because they're young and they're fit. They're also, you know, they have decent finishing about them, but also they're going to go wide naturally because they're natural wingers. So that's going to give you that width that you need because someone's got to create it because, again, the fullbacks, Emerson can do it, but Azpilicueta can't. So we need a counterbalance, if you like, from maybe Pulisic probably more on that right-hand side if he's going to play as well. Maybe you can put a Pulisic next to Batshuayi. They linked up pretty well. And then Pulisic can go out on the right wing as well when Azpilicueta doesn't get there, and it gives you a little bit of a balance. So it'll be interesting, but I completely agree with you. There is that we need at home, especially. We're not the best at breaking teams down. I still don't think we're going to be great this season at doing so because we don't have that playmaker. We don't have Hazard. So breaking down teams is going to be a problem. We definitely need to have situations. And this is the one criticism, was one of the criticisms I had of Sarri last year. Sometimes we need two up front. And especially at home, if it's last 15, 20 minutes, just put two up front, go old school, put the ball in the box and try and score. I don't really care anymore about the plan or the pretty football. 3 points on the line, that goes out the window at home to Norwich when it's 1-1. I don't care anymore. I've lost patience. This has been beautiful to watch. I love the plan. Try it again next time. Put the ball in the box.
Every time you were saying that, it just reminded me of all the tweets that you posted last season when, you know, we were 0-0 or 1-1, 89th minute. I could see Matisse just screaming out, "Sorry, just get another striker in there, man. Just stop this Barkley switch with Kovacic at 89th minute when we need a goal."
Yeah. It was killing me slowly.
No, that's good. I think that was really comprehensive way that we've covered the formations and the styles. Let's now quickly move into the players that has impressed us, not so impressed, and some concerns. I think we've touched on a few bits and pieces. Let's elaborate on that a little bit more. Let's start off with players that has impressed you so far in the preseason, and you feel they could be a massive factor for us in the upcoming season.
Yeah. I'll start from the back and work forward. I'm going to just pick my definitely highlights. Kepa hasn't even impressed, but I have to mention him. I mean, he was great against Barcelona, but this guy, this is why we have to play out from the back because his ball playing ability is of a centre midfielder. Like he has far too much composure. I don't know what drugs he takes, or does he take something before the game that just calms him right down? I don't know if he's high. Someone's got to drug test him because this guy just gets the ball and it's like watching a holding midfielder or someone, you know, a regista or something, because he just doesn't sweat at all. It doesn't matter what the situation is.
I reckon he could be a midfielder. I honestly think he can.
You think so? I think what we did, is Marina looked for a centre mid when she was looking for a goalkeeper. She was like, I've had enough of Courtois booting it into Rosehead every single time we're trying to play out from the back. I'm buying myself a centre midfielder and sticking him in goal. And it was brilliant to have a goalkeeper who didn't open his legs. Can I just get that in? That was brilliant.
Absolutely.
So my Kepa is doing brilliant. Who else? Right back. I won't go into right back. Neither will I go into left back. But full back areas are very concerning right now. It's For me, it is Reece James or bust. I had this debate on Twitter when I put my strongest lineup out with everyone fit, and I had James in over Aspilicueta, and it caused uproar because a lot of people, obviously, so have I, developed an emotional attachment to our captain or vice captain, technically, from last year, Aspilicueta, because he's done so much for the club. He always gives 100%. He's a leader-ish. It depends what way you look at a leader, because he's not the most commanding or imposing, but he does lead by example with his performances of the recent years. But he is declining. And if you don't think he's declining, watch the games, because he's nowhere near as dominant as he was under Mourinho at left back, or even under Conte at right centre back. Now, I don't know if the future for him is moving into centre back, but it definitely isn't right back in a team that's trying to go forward, that's trying to attack, that's trying to be on the front foot, that's trying to press, that's trying to overlap, get crosses in. People always refer back to me the Aspilicueta moment where he crossed for Morata a few times. I don't want these clutch moments 5 times a season. I'm looking for regular Trent Alexander-Arnold contributions. This is the level required to get back to the top of the Premier League. It's not a couple crosses to your Spanish friend. That's not what it is. And I've had enough of it, honestly. I love Aspilicueta, but I know what's going to happen. He's going to start, if Frank Lampard doesn't integrate Reece, and I don't even know why Zappacosta's still here. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be brutally honest. This guy should have been sold. I don't know why he's still here. I know people love his energy, his commitment, but again, he is not good enough defensively or even going forward. He's just okay. I don't settle for okay. So Aspilicueta, he's got to get integrated out quickly this season, or it's going to be Ivanovic 2.0 and he's going to get booed and he's going to come out the club differently. Whereas if you just take him out and just leave him as a backup option and integrate Reece, because this is a free season, it's what you told me, free season, everybody, where we have nothing to lose and Frank Lampard has all the time in the world. Now suddenly everybody wants backup and dead wood. I don't want to hear it, okay? I want youth and I want experiments. That's what we came for, right, with Frank Lampard. Otherwise, he could have just stuck with Surrey. So I'm not going to get into that. So Aspilicueta, slowly take him out so I can have an energetic right back, please. That's all I'm asking for this season. So the fullbacks are very concerning. We need fullbacks that can have crossing ability. The cross conversion rate of Alonso last season gave me nightmares. Centre back, Christensen was good against Barcelona, I must admit. My problem with Christensen is not technically. My problem with Christensen is how commanding is he from set pieces? Is he going to man mark? Because we need to get back to man marking. Is he going to man mark and is he going to win those one-on-one battles? Because he can be a bit flimsy. He can be a bit easy to barge off. And we have got to improve our set piece record. I know we're trying to play expansive football and we're trying to play good football, but we cannot turn into the next Arsenal where we're just getting piled with set piece conceding goals. Because I don't need to bring up the stat because I've said it like so many times to the point where it's an obsession. But last season we conceded joint most set piece goals with Fulham, and I think in terms of scoring we were third bottom as well. So we don't do well from set pieces. And I love the attacking football, but when you've grown up in an era of John Terry, Cahill, Alex, Drogba, need I go on? Our Champions League success was based off of a set piece from Matisse. So we need set pieces back. That's just something that is within us. We bully teams. That's what we need to get back to as well. So, you know, and then you go into midfield. Kovacic has been immense. I mean, the guy was so misjudged last season because he was playing in a position that he was forced to play because we didn't have any proper left centre mid to go forward. Loftus-Cheek was injured most of the time. Barkley wasn't doing well. So he had to play there just for tactical reasons and possession reasons. But he is so much better, deeper. And for me, double pivot, he's going to be probably one of the best players for us because he is just perfect for that role. He is perfect in that first press where you're getting if the opposition is pressing you, he is the perfect person to have in that defensive third. He can dribble his way out of trouble. He's a quick thinker. I said it last season, quick thinking players and a quick thinking system. I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, baby.
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back because that's what he does. He's just so good at it. He's got all these cute tricks and flicks. And everybody says, oh, he doesn't assist or he doesn't score or he doesn't, His skill is not necessary. People like John Obi Mikel were worshipped. They didn't contribute with goals or assists. So why now everybody wants to start getting angry about that? I don't get that. It's because he was given that responsibility. It didn't match his traits. It didn't match his history. So we need to take that back off of him and play him where he's meant to play. But he's been brilliant. Mason Mount's been exceptional. I'm not even one of these Mason Mount advocates of being like he's going to be a world beater. I just said there's one thing with Mason Mount. He is necessary in this squad with a transfer ban. Without the transfer ban, I would have loaned him. With the transfer ban, he is necessary. He has set pieces and he brings goals, and that alone is something to bring to the team. We don't get to be picky in a transfer ban. We need midfielders who can score goals. We have very dodgy situations when it comes to scoring goals. You know, the strikers are they're not Agueros, you know, they could all be shit. Sorry for the swearing. I don't know if it's allowed in this podcast, but they could all be terrible next season. Let's not lie. None of the strikers are 100% convincing, you know, Suarez, Aguero prime. So we need goals from midfield. So he's been brilliant. And then moving on to attack, we haven't seen enough of Pulisic. The wingers, there's no wingers. So I guess the only other person really is the two strikers, Abraham. Actually, all three of them, they've all scored goals. Abraham, Batshuayi and Giroud have all got goals on their names. So that's good. The confidence is there. They're all going to be used. My opinion on the striker is well known at this point. If you follow me on Twitter, I don't really favor any of them. It depends on how we're playing and it depends on the time in the game. If we're 1-0 down or we're level and we need a goal, Giroud comes on. He needs to come onto the pitch so we can start putting balls into the box. He's a brilliant link-up striker. He doesn't get you the most goals, but he's technically very good. Great link-up play, and he can create other opportunities for other people, but he can't press. So to start right now, it's between Batshuayi and Abraham. Batshuayi for me is the better natural finisher. He's got more experience with Belgium top-level football. Abraham is pressing better. So they're all just the same thing to me. Whoever scores goals plays. I don't really give a crap.
Come on, Matisse. Have a little bit more faith in our strikers.
I will wait to see it first.
I think, I probably agree with most of the things that you've said as well. In regards to the players that have probably impressed me mostly so far is, as we've touched already, Mount for me, with all the reasons that you've said as well. Set pieces are going to be so crucial. We don't need to touch on our set piece issues from last year. You know, Willian just can't even beat the first person, and exactly, frustrated so many times, all of us. And having a player like Mount who can deliver nice corners, possibly free kicks as well, that helps. In regards to in defense, I was really impressed with. I know this player has only got a few minutes to show us, and he's most likely going to be out on loan. But I was quite impressed with Tomori. I know he's another youth player, and here we go, us hyping up the youth players again. But honestly, I felt he's shown a lot more, eager and hunger than what I actually expected from Zuma in this preseason. Yeah, thinking that. He's come back from Everton. He's going to come back to the Chelsea team. All the Chelsea fans are hyping him up. And it looked pretty good before our first preseason matches, all his Instagram posts and his training sessions and whatnot. I was like, wow, this guy's going to kill it, And then the preseason game started, and it's like he's sort of deflated. I don't know if the rumors of Everton has kind of bothered him a little bit.
That's the one thing I give him some leeway, is because this Everton thing has just been pure rubbish. I mean, it's like they forget that we were interested in John Stones. I don't want to be petty, but leave, just go away. We're in a transfer ban. We're not selling Zuma. But this is why I said Zuma. This is why a lot of people were overhyping Zuma and saying that he was our best centre back. I was like, you may don't take it that far. Let's just wait to see how he plays at the top level, Champions League football, because let's not discredit the likes of Luiz, Christensen. They've been here for a while now. They have had some brilliant performances, notably against Arsenal in the final. So Zuma's great. I'm really looking forward to him, but at the same time, he's got work to do. He definitely has got work to do.
Absolutely right, man. And he better start working, man. I cannot see another preseason game where Zuma comes in and he's struggling with the touches and, struggling with his, I suppose, the intensity that's required. So he better start. The other player that's probably impressed me, and we've touched on it already, is Barkley. He gets a lot of flack in social media. People are still saying, I think I saw Lav the other day tweet that, here we go.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's like, here we go. The fan base is getting fooled again. Fan base is getting fooled. And I was looking at myself, I'm like, damn, is he calling me a fool? Like,
I love Lav. Lav doesn't play. Look, the reason do you know what it is with Barkley? We've seen it so many times before. I remember when he played Montenegro or Spain for England, against Spain for England as well. And he had 2 great games, to be fair to him. But he just, when he came back, he didn't do the business. And look, I know a lot of people have said Barkley was restricted and he was shackled up last season, but this is Chelsea. We are not the most stable club. We're actually the most unstable club. So if you need, and I don't want to get onto Barkley too much because he has had a good preseason and I am interested to see how he does at number 10, but I don't want to get too excited because he's let me down too many times. And the thing is with him is that if he needs the perfect conditions to be successful or to be good, if he needs the perfect formation, the perfect style, the perfect manager, well then, my sir, you're at the wrong club. I hate to break it to you, but this club doesn't stick around with the same system, the same formation, the same manager. It just doesn't happen. And if you think now, just because Lampard's here, that suddenly we're going to be in a dynasty for the next 10 years, we'll see about that, because it all sounds beautiful right now. But I tell you, let's see how we're doing mid-season when we're not doing so well with the form, because that will come at some point. And let's see if the patience is still there, because we thought the patience was there last season and it wasn't there. So let's just wait to see on that regard how long this honeymoon period is going to last. And with Barkley is, again, you can't have the perfect temperature for your tank. You're not a fish. You've got to be able to adapt. And this is why I rate players like Kante, who have just even the old guard, really, who had like about 12 managers in about 10 years. They all just adapted every time and they just kept it going. They kept the success going. And that's until we become a proper stable club with a long-term vision, a long-term plan. That's the kind of players that we need at the moment, because otherwise we're going to fall drastically. And we have been falling since 2012, but we're going to keep falling if we don't have players that can adapt to new situations.
No, you're right, man. I think the best point that you've just made here is in regards to Barkley, or in general for all the players, that we will go through a tough situation in the upcoming season, whether it be in the start of the season, whether it be in the middle of the season, whether it be in the end of the season. There will be certain stages where the fan base is going to get tested, and Frank's temperament will get tested, but more importantly, some of these players' temperaments are going to get tested. And I feel like players like Barkley, as you said, they need everything to be perfect. And when it's not perfect, that's where we need the players to rise up, to show their character and actually lift the club up. And for me at the moment, that one person is, he gets a lot of flack. Once again, is Jorginho. I feel like this guy, you could throw a freaking grenade at him and he'll get up and well, bring it. Like, he'll be one arm and he'll still wrangle on, you know what I mean? Like, he does not care. And that's the kind of character that we need. But so we've touched on the players that has impressed us, kind of concerns that we have. We haven't really touched on the players that have not impressed us. And, we've got a couple of players and we already know the names. And so I wonder. So what do you think about Bakayoko, Drinkwater? I know we've touched on Kennedy a little bit. A lot of the other players have sort of loaned out. I saw a tweet from the great loan army today with all our different loans that have already started to spread out, which is fantastic. I think some of these players need to be on loan. But let's talk about Bakayoko, Drinkwater, and Kennedy specifically. What's going on there, man? Come on, these guys, they got to wake up.
Oh, God, how much time do you have, good sir? I could be here all day. I mean, let's just start off with Bakayoko. I don't want to swear. That's the thing. I want to be polite. It's my first time on this channel. I want to be nice. Bakayoko, okay? Everybody was getting this clean slate. Give me a break. I mean, don't take you told me don't take word for word what the manager says last season. Sarri said he's staying or he's happy here. You know, don't take it word for word. Okay, so when Lampard comes in, don't take it word for word. When he says clean slate, he means I'm new here. I'm the new teacher, and I want to give all my students the fair shout, even though some of your grades have been falling for the last 2-3 years, and you're still stupid. So you're still not getting in my team, but I have to be fair, and I'll put you all in the same boat for the first few classes before I start dropping you into different sets for maths. That's what it was. And Bakayoko is officially in set 5, bottom set. To the back of the class, my boy, you are failing your exams. He is not the guy, okay? He is not the guy. He's just not. I'm giving you some good quotes for promotion. I'm not going to lie.
You are,
he is
bro,
not
you
the
are.
guy. He is not the guy. I don't know how to explain it, but he just is not a quick thinking player.
Anti player.
He's just so slow. Every time he gets the ball, then he thinks. And I'm just like, you do realize we're trying to move through the game quickly. We're playing a quick system, trying to. I mean, he was getting the ball was getting dispossessed from him from trialists again. I was at the game. He looked average against trialists. So when you have a player that isn't press resistant, who can't receive the ball, turn and give it, can't display any sort of technical ability to bring to the team, everything for him is physical. And he was good with Milan. I know his ball recovery was good and his tackling was good, but we have Kante for that. And Kante can do the other stuff. And Kovacic is actually quite combative as well. And if you look at how many midfielders we have, you just have to be realistic with it. And I seen my friend Nini put up a tweet as well about Lewis Baker, and I had to just say, that's enough. Because that's another player who's never going to make it here. That's another player who's been past his sell-by date. The milk has gone off, and it needs to be thrown in the bin. Just sell. Let him get on with his career. The likes of Lewis Baker, Lucas Piazon, why are they still here? Like, really, this is not a charity now. This is Chelsea Football Club. And the thing is with these players is that they're just not good enough. And it doesn't matter how many chances you give them, they keep showing that they're not of the level. And Bakayoko, if we're trying to be an expansive team who press and go forward, and he's just not the guy. So I wasn't even disappointed by him. I was just like, okay, here we go again. Drinkwater for me, he's just, he's just not Chelsea standard. He reminds me of a mid-table Premier League player. He doesn't have anything special to offer. He just works hard, gets around, passes it simple. He can do a couple lofted balls if you want to run him behind, but he's not going to do anything special. And this midfield should be about special. What are your special qualities? What are you going to bring that nobody else can bring? I don't want to see, oh, I can bring this, but I have 3 players ahead of me that can bring this. We are overstacked in midfield, so there's no need for any players that are just going to just make up the numbers for HG reasons, because, again, I don't think we're threatened homegrown-wise quota because we have so many youngsters coming back. And then Kennedy is just another one that's just... First of all, he had attitude problems before he even got sent on loan to Newcastle. We all know the Asia incident well. Drinkwater, again, motivational issues. I mean, is he just here for the paycheck? Again, last season, I seen him whipping up a restaurant, drink driving. I mean, this doesn't sound like the most committed footballer into breaking into a squad. And this is what I'm talking about with these backup options. People are favouring experience over hunger, desire, commitment. This is what I want to see in my backup options, because if you're going to be a backup player and you don't really mind if you get into the starting 11 because you're too busy flipping sausages in your restaurant or you're too busy drink driving, then really you're not any competition to the first 11, which means the first 11 are going to stagnate and they're going to start dropping in performance because there's no competition. It's just like at work. If there's no stress, if there's no problem, you start to dip. The same with any profession. So I need young, hungry players as squad players because I know they want to make it here. They want to play. They want to get minutes. So therefore, the senior players have to step up. That's just how it should be. And they're more content to be in the backup positions and not, complain behind the manager's back because they're not getting minutes, which we saw a lot from the likes. I'm not even going to name names. You know who the people are. So these are my issues with these Deadwood experienced players in the backup positions. And Kennedy, he's just not good enough. I mean, if you can't go to Newcastle, who were so stripped of talent, last season. I mean, Rafa Benitez is a magician, and I just get that because I don't know how they're still in this league with that squad. If you can't go to Newcastle and shine and be the standout player, my bro, you're not a Chelsea player, okay? You're just not. Even in a transfer ban, you're not a Chelsea player. I think because we've been so disappointed with the likes of maybe Willian, who's got quality but not consistent, Pedro, again, ups and downs, we've started to say, okay, well, then everybody can get in. No, that's not true. Because as much as we don't want maybe these experienced players to be here long term because we want to youth up the wings and give a little bit more energy and excitement, they're still good players. Pedro is still a good player. Willian is still a good player. They're still better than Kennedy. So that's kind of my thoughts. Those three just got to go. Just because I'm bored of seeing their name on team sheets. I'm not going to lie. It's just too many players.
You're right, man. I think, first of all, with Drinkwater, his Instagram posts suck as well. So that's another reason why he needs to go.
I called it. I literally called it last season. I remember flipping out one time because he put up an Instagram post after a defeat, by the way. And he was on his story and he made the stupidest of faces. Okay. And I was obviously in a bad mood because we just lost the game. And 12 hours later, I'm seeing Drinkwater's face with a massive filter on it with his eyes stretched out all over the place and a massive grin on his face. And I'm like, we've lost the game 12 hours ago. And you're up on Instagram posting smiley faces in filters like a 12-year-old. And everyone was like, oh, Matisse, don't worry. It's only Drinkwater. He's harmless. He's just a bit of banter. 2 weeks later, the man's drink driving, having a bit more banter. All right, so get him out, please.
Yeah, for that itself, please get out of here. In terms of Kennedy, I think you're right, man. I mean, I wanted to see him this season, and I wanted him to, convince me. But I think he's convinced me that he's got to go. So he, as you said, if you can't impress in Newcastle with the kind of squad that they had, which was a lot of no-namers, if you can't impress there, man, you ain't impressing in Chelsea, especially when we have Willian for another 2 more years. So, massive issues there. Bakayoko, this guy, man, just frustrates me. He's got the size, he's got the physique, like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and you think he's just going to bulldoze his way. He's going to be box to box. He's going to be, he's going to just own the midfield. But the guy comes into the pitch and he's like absolutely nothing. Just everyone's pushing him over. Everyone's running past him. The match is just going beyond him. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Yeah, go on.
Do you know what it is, yeah? With Bakayoko, I think he looked so good last year because the Italian league is so slow. And he's actually quite quick for the Italian league. He's not quick in the brain, but he's quick physically. So he can get around and make those tackles and he can predict interceptions. And then when he gets the ball, he has a bit of time because no one's really pressing him or closing him down. If you press this guy or close him down, he turns into a starfish. He's just like, whoa, what's going on here? And I'm just like, this is football. You can be pressed. Sometimes people run at you when you have the ball and you have to think quickly. And that's where he fails. So with Bakayoko, it's just the wrong league, the wrong place, the wrong time. I think he's suited to a low block. Just sit and wait. And then when you do get the ball, lay it off. But we're not playing counter-attacking football, so that's why. And then Kennedy, like you said, I mean, the obsession with having a left-footed winger is clear. He's not the guy. He's just not the guy.
You're right, man. Now, cool. So we've, I think, comprehensively covered that segment as well. Now let's move on to Frank Lampard as a manager. Obviously, we all had doubts, when Sarri was still a manager. We all sort of thought, yeah, Frank's going to be one day our manager and whatnot. And, we'll be glad to see him, a legend, come back and manage us. We all knew, this was probably a bit too early, but he's the manager at the moment. And these are exciting times. God knows when we will ever see Frank again. He's got the time now. Let's enjoy the time the way we deal with our managers. They're here today. They're not here tomorrow. So, let's take the moment and enjoy what we have. And so far, his style is quite evident to what he wants to do. So what's your thoughts, man? And there's a lot of talk in football Twitter that's at times anti-Frank. And as you saw today, they're still talking about Sarri and Conte. And, Jose is still, Lav, I think the other day there was a thread on Jose's special, comments over the years. So we've got a knack of talking about ex-managers. What's your thoughts, man?
It's just, for me, it's common Chelsea behaviour. Is we're not very good at letting go. We never have been. I don't know why, but we're not good at moving with the times. So if we have a manager that we loved, we want him back, and we don't remember that the parameters and the goalposts have changed. So from when these managers were here, there were certain objectives, certain requirements. The likes of Conte, when he was here, we just wanted to win the Premier League. Now we want to build with youth. Conte doesn't use youth. So therefore, Conte cannot be here. Mourinho didn't really want to use youth. He wanted to spend a hell of a lot of money to build a team for now. I don't know if he's changed. I highly doubt he has changed that much. I don't think he's a completely new man. He's still a bit stubborn. He wants to play, pragmatic football. Or to be fair to him, he wants to play whatever football suits each game. And we're trying to play attacking football, and we're trying to blood youth, so he doesn't fit. Sarri, only really trains with 14 to 13 players to get a rigid positional play system going. We don't have a lot of great, players for that. We're looking for maybe to use the youth again. He was hesitant to use the youth, let's put it like that. But once he did, it was great. But we need to definitely use the squad because we're in 4 competitions, and that was one of his. And this is the thing, I love Sarri, but people need to learn to criticize their favorite things, because that's the only way you come across balanced. If you're gonna just say all hail to this man, he can do no wrong, well then you're starting to look like as if you're just obsessed. Because Sarri, for all of his brilliance, he didn't rotate enough at Napoli, and he didn't rotate enough at Chelsea, and that was clear. So as much as I love him, there were flaws, and we are in 4 competitions this season. We have to rotate. It's just fact. We have to. If we don't rotate, they're going to burn out and they're going to struggle. That's probably why Napoli didn't win the league under him, is because they burned out. So to get back to the question, is Frank Lampard, I'm still in this state of emotion because we haven't had any serious games yet to criticize him or to praise him on, because it's just preseason. And even though I'm looking for things in preseason, I'm hardly going to jump on any sort of bandwagon in preseason because it's not relevant really too much on his, job status. I'm just hoping that he's here for a long time, because this is my favorite player of all time. It doesn't matter what club. I'm a Chelsea fan, so he's my favorite player. The way he carries himself, he's just a gentleman. He's just a role model. He speaks to the press properly. He's not going to cause any drama in that instance. He knows how to handle the press. He's just a good man who gave a lot to this club as a player. And now as a manager, as excited as I am, my brakes are slightly on, because if this goes wrong, it's going to hurt way more than a Sarri or a Conte or anyone, because as much as I like those guys for what they did, they're not bleeding Chelsea. They go on to another club and they'll be fine. Frank Lampard, this is the pinnacle for his career in management. There's no better job than him, for him than this. This is the pinnacle. If he does well and moves on, if he doesn't do well and moves on, this will be his biggest moment in his managerial career. So I want it to just go well. And from what I've seen so far, I like the experiments and whatnot, because we do need to have plans. But at the same time, I do now want to just see a core squad of players in these next few preseason games that are 100% going to be with the team for the season. No more of these Casey Palmers or these Kennedys or Bakayokos or Drinkwaters. Just all of them got to go. Just get to a core 23. All the players you're going to register for the season, all the players you're going to register in the Champions League, get them together and just work. That's all I want to see in the next few preseason games, because Man United is looming very quickly, and they're there to be got at. They have a lot of instability. They have players that do or don't want to be here. They have a manager who's not particularly amazing. So they're there to be got at, and I would love nothing more than to go to Old Trafford and win and just walk out with our heads held high, just to put the 3 points on the table and to take the pressure off Lampard. And more importantly, actually, we have a Super Cup final. Everyone forgets, against Liverpool. And I don't care how good they are or how superior their team is to us, I want to win that game. There will be on a final. I don't really get objective with finals. I don't know if you saw my video for the Europa League. I was just screaming. I don't really get objective. I just want to win. That's it. That is the Chelsea way, I guess. I just want to win the finals. For me, in the final, if we're unlucky or tactics or that all goes out the door, I just want to win. So that will be the same for that, and I hope that will be his first trophy because it would be amazing if it was.
No, you're right, man. I think I'm in the same boat as well. Everything you've said is in the same feelings as me. For me, with Frank, the way I look at it is, one, with the transfer ban and with all the issues that we had with match going fans and whatnot, not appreciating, he was probably the most sensible appointment for the time being. I honestly can't see. I know there was a lot of talk about Ten Hag and a few other weird names I've never even heard of, but some of the purists seem to know more about them.
No comment on him. I need to get him on my. You know what? I need to get him on my podcast because I've got a few bones to pick with that man. I feel like no one else would have come at this time. They would have all demanded, their own players and whatnot. And Frank is probably the only guy who probably didn't have any demands at all. All he wanted was, give me an opportunity. I've got a great youth academy. I know some of these players. I've got a great staff. Let's get the show rolling and let's see where it goes. I've got a style that I look at him and the kind of football that we're playing is exactly how I feel Lampard was playing when he was a player. He was good with his feet. He was good with his passes. He had the vision. He had the goal scoring ability. He could press. The whole attitude of the team, when I look at him as a whole, looks like Frank Lampard to me. So that's fantastic. In terms of let's now go into the final segment of this whole episode with Matisse. Where do you expect, my man, for Chelsea to finish next season? I know you've already touched on the Super Cup. It's something that I would love to win. I don't care who the manager is, how inexperienced they are. You win that title, man, and you've got a title straight away, which is fantastic. But where do you see us in the ladder, in Champions League, and some of the domestic cups as well? We'll start with the league. I'm still sticking to sixth. I know there's been cause for optimism because of the way we played, especially against Barcelona. But I'm still holding to sixth as an expectation. And the reason for that is because we're handicapped, whether we like it or not. Any recalls are not as strong as the market. The market is endless. So the opportunity, and if they take it or they don't, that's their own business. I hope they don't take it. But Arsenal, Man United and Tottenham are competitors. They have the option to go into the market and strengthen. Tottenham have done it with Ndombele. They look like they'll continue to do so. Arsenal are being Arsenal, so God bless them and thank you. And United are messing around with Maguire for 80 million when Alderweireld is available on a release clause for 25. So I don't really mind. I mean, if they want to piss about and keep us in contention for top four, that is fine by me. I will hold no grudges. I will thank them kindly. But I'm still sticking to sixth because out of the top six, we have the biggest handicapped, so expectations should be low. We're missing Hazard, who's 50% or 45% of our goal contributions from last year. That's huge. And we've got a lot of players who are if, buts and maybes. They're looking good now, but the likelihood of them all starting in the Premier League and just taking the world by storm immediately is slim. I don't want to put dampers on it, but some players will come straight in and do well, and some players will be like, oh crap, this is the Premier League, maybe I need to be in and out, just take my time here, because it's a big step up for them. So a lot of them. So I'm sticking with sixth. I'm hoping for top four because we need it badly, as always. And then in the domestic cups, I'm hoping we can take a trophy. I mean, this is a young team. They're more than capable of going out and getting an FA Cup or a what's it called now, the Carabao Cup now. They're more than capable, all it takes is a good run of fixtures. We saw last season we had a great penalty shootout win against Tottenham. Moments can be created. So there's no reason as to why we was penalties away from winning the Carabao Cup against City. So there's no reason why they can't, challenge for a domestic cup. Every season, there's never been a Chelsea squad where I've been like, we can't win the cup. The cup is the cup. Portsmouth won the cup. Anybody could win the cup. So there's no such thing as we can't win a trophy this season. We can always win a trophy with Chelsea. And when it comes to the Champions League, that's where it gets sticky because, again, this squad, if you take them on a whole, there's a lot of players that have experience, and then there's the other half who have absolutely no Champions League experience. So we're pot one, which helps because we won the Europa League. So that's a massive bonus. It depends on the draw. We could get the group of death, and then after that, I'm just like, I'll take one. I hope we just compete. And if we get a good group, then round of 16, then it gets tough. We have to respect the Champions League. It's a completely different ball game. We haven't been in it for a while for good reason. We haven't been good enough. So if we get to the round of 16, I'll be, we're not going to win it. So once you're not in it to win it, it's just an experience. Finishing second, runners up, and finishing round of 16, apart from money, it really is the same pain when you go out. So it's not a massive difference to me. I'm just hoping that we can use this season of Champions League experience for a lot of our young players to take into the next season. Hopefully, if we're still in it, that's all I really see it as.
Yeah, no, I think you would have seen my pinned tweet, which states what my expectation is at the moment. So I still think our squad is competitive enough to finish in the top four, and this is my reasoning around it. City and Liverpool are by far beyond. There's no point talking about them, but from third till about all the way till 6th, 7th, 8th, you've got a mixture of teams that are well balanced, and we've got a good opportunity here, to get fourth. So I've got no issues to think that we should be able to at least compete for top four. In regards to domestic cups, same as you said, we've always competed, and there's no reason why we can't get at least one of those domestic cups, or be there and thereabouts, I suppose. Champions League for me is same as you, is a bit of a tight one, but if we get a nice group where we can at least come second, if not first, move into the second round, get a nice easy opposition to play against in the second round, and if we can get ourselves into the quarterfinals, man, I'm happy. I think that would be a fantastic achievement for us to get into the quarterfinals, and that for me, would be a great successful season. So yeah, that pretty much rounds that particular thing up. In regards to now, we've come to the final part of the podcast. It's been a long one, but I hope everyone sort of enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. Do you have anything to sort of plug, or have a special message for your followers? I know you're busy with 10,000 things, so this is your time to shine, my man.
Well, what do I even say first? First of all, thank you for having me. That's the main thing. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, bro. Honestly, our conversations are great. You came on my podcast. We had a great discussion about stuff outside Chelsea, and we needed a discussion about Chelsea again. So this has been brilliant. In terms of stuff that I'm working on at the moment, I'm running my own podcast called the Cast Aside Podcast. I'm in the middle of a segment where I bring on a lot of guests from football Twitter, big or small. I like to keep the variety there. And really the whole thing, as Miz will tell you, because he was the first guest, we're just I'm not even trying to bring the fan base closer, because I feel like that's impossible at this point. But what I would like to do is give different perspectives to people, because there's a lot, people are very judgmental with accounts that they can't, get to know very well, because maybe they're behind an Avi or behind a banner or behind a persona. And if you hear them on the podcast and a discussion about their lives and what they're interested in, it might just give you something to relate to in terms of your own life, or something that you can, draw comparisons with, and maybe your struggle was similar, or you have similar interests. So it's just a nice way of getting to know people. And then I'm also on Twitter, obviously, at Matisse Armani, or MAH. I just on there I do a whole bunch of things, from videos to threads to causing chaos to sometimes opening my mouth too wide and causing uproar. But to be honest, that's just my style. I ain't even gonna pretend like I don't love it. It's just my style. Depends what mood I'm in, to be honest. And then also you can catch me on Chelsea Echo as well, which is a great publication. There's loads of articles on there. There's loads of podcasts which I feature on, and they're great as well. So you can catch me on that. But really, the only place you need to catch me on is right here. You need to subscribe, all right? Don't waste any more time. Hit that subscribe button. This is the new YouTube channel to be following this season. I'm super proud of you, by the way, Miz, for setting up a YouTube channel. It takes guts to come onto this platform. Twitter's fun. This is a whole new ball game here. So congratulations on starting. And obviously 50 subscribers inside the first 2 episodes, which is ridiculous. You're actually going to overtake my channel. So I'm going to have to send out a personal message to Saj. Yeah, step up your game because we're already overtaken. All right.
You know what?
So, yeah,
first of all, thank you so much, my man. You know, you've helped me out heaps. Everyone in football Twitter knows that. They see the bond that we have as well. One thing I will say, though, you know, what I'm really proud of that you do is your podcast for the caster side, man. It's phenomenal, man. Like, you know, every now and then when a new episode comes, I don't always jump into it straight away. You know, we're all busy with 10,000 things. But when I do get the chance, you know, that walk from home to the station and then from the station back home, man, that's a blissful walk. And it's because of you, man. It's such a good walk. I'm listening to all these characters that I follow on football Twitter. And I know I've still got a few more episodes to catch up on, and I will definitely listen to them. But, you know, you get to listen to these individuals and you go, damn, they're nice people. They're really nice people. And football Twitter, sometimes, you know, these people are so misunderstood. And, you know, they go at each other. They use this platform as if it's a stand-up comedy or something, and it's a place for people to abuse each other and whatnot. And so, yeah, my biggest request to my followers would be guys, please subscribe to it. If you don't want to do anything for Matisse, just do this one thing. Subscribe to his podcast, because I'm telling you, it's a unique piece of work here. I'm not a massive podcast man in terms of listening to many different, so I don't really know too much about it, but I have been listening to a few. But this is something that touches right here. You listen and you go, all right, you know, next time I tweet this person, I know there's a person behind. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not going to talk the way I should, you know, that I do. You know, I should be a lot more respectful. And that's what I feel your podcast brings, is respect, a lot of passion and respect and a lot of soul. So thank you heaps for that, Matisse. Yeah, continue on what you're doing. And
that means a lot.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Because it's such a variety, and it's so hard, and you'll know yourself putting yourself out on the internet. You show your face, you show your work, you show your content. It's not easy, because it's literally, once you put it out there, it's there for everyone to judge, and it's not coming off. I've said that before. I'm never going to delete a podcast. And we've had such variety in terms of mental health, and then we've gone into funny episodes. You know, we've had such variety. I've spoken about so many things on that podcast. From breakups to fun things, fun adventures, from freaking holidays with strippers to, I mean, everything. This podcast, like, it's literally my child. So the fact that you're enjoying it so much, that means a lot to me, and I know that will mean a lot to Saj as well. So thank you, man. Thank you.
Oh man, yeah. Please give my regards to Saj. I know I don't get to talk to him much, but the guy compliments your podcast so much. You know, love his quirky, you know, attitude, and, you know, the sneaky little, jokes here and there. So I love that. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming to my channel. Hope the viewers enjoy this episode. I feel like they will. There's so much to gain, so much information that we've talked about. So hopefully we get together one more time sometime down the track when the season starts, or actually, you know, a few more times. It's not going to be one more time. Hopefully many more times. So yeah, have a great day. I know you're going to go to bed now. Have a good sleep. And thank you so much, my man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, bro. Thank you.
See ya.